Hi everybody and welcome back to the channel. I'm Jane and my husband Mike is behind the camera. We're British early retirees, debt and mortgage free, and living a thrifty, frugal and money saving life here in Brittany in northwest France. And every Sunday we share something of maybe something that we've done to save some money. So let's take a look at what we did this week. Now, I do like Christmas to have a bit of a handmade element to it. I don't like everything just to come from the shop. And this Sunday, I show you how I make some things which are very typical gifts. Let's show you this one to begin with. It's a little reversible gift basket. So you can put sweets in it, or gifts in it, or toiletries in it. Make a great teacher gift with some stationery in it. So easy to make. I'll show you how to make that one. And I also show you how to make this drawstring bag. And what's fabulous about this is this can become a family tradition. The gifts can go in it, you can go to them, and next year they can gift it back to you with some gifts in it, or to anyone else. Or it's a fabulous little gift in itself. And what's lovely about these is if you're a sewer, you're definitely going to have some spare fabric lying around, and that's all I did with these, is use my spare fabric. So let's show you how I made them.
Let's start by showing you what I'm going to make. So I'm going to make myself another little fabric basket, and it's so simple to make. It's something that you can just make from the scraps that you've got lying around. And it's a great little, you can see here, I use it as a desktop dustbin. But you can use this to put gifts in. And the great thing about these little gift bags, or these little fabric baskets, is they're completely reversible and they stand up on their own. And you can just use up what you've got. So there we are, that's what I'm going to make. Got loads of this fabric. I like this, but I'm going to make this one. It's lovely bright fabric now. And I'll tell you what you need. So you're going to need 2 pieces of fabric, and this is 10 inches by 18 inches. Be warned, do not have directional fabric. Have fabric that works in any direction, that doesn't have an up, that doesn't have a down. So I've got one to be my lining, one to be my outside. But like I said, they are reversible. You will then need either a piece of fleece that I have, the same size for each one, or fusible fleece, or quite sturdy fusible backing. I don't have anything that's fusible, so I'm just going to, like as if I was quilting, I'm just going to sew these together, and I'll show you what I've done when I've done it. So I'm just going to join it together and run it through my sewing machine. You can see now what I've done here is I have stitched the batting and the fabric together. And if I get close, you can see I've just used a decorative stitch here. And that's what I've done. And then I'm going to fold them in half. And this is my lining. So I'm going to stitch down one side and leave a gap. So stitch up the other side, but I will leave a gap because I will use that to turn it inside out. But this is going to be the outside. And I'm just going to stitch down both sides, and I'll show you what I've done. Next, I'm going to create box corners, and to do that I've used my ruler to mark off a 1.5 inch square, and I've done that on each of the corners, and then I'm going to cut those out. There we go. You can see I've cut off the corners. So there are my corners cut off. If you can see, I've got my fingers in here, and I've got, if you squeeze a seam, that'll help you to see it better. Okay, and I've pinched it together. It's best if you can pin it if you need to. I'm not a pinner. I will just hold it in place as I get it through my sewing machine. But you want the seam to go the way you're going to sew. So one seam will go that way, and then I'll sew the other one. So let me just sew it and let you see it. So there we go. I've sewn both corners, this side and that side. And I'm going to do exactly the same now to my lining, and you can see it creates a little stand-up box. Now I'm going to put my bags together, so you can see I've got my lining and I've got my hole here for turning it the right way round, and I have made sure that I've poked all the corners into the right places. So the lining, and it's facing inside. I've got my outer bag, and you can see I've pushed my hands into the corners here and here, and that's going to go inside, so you've got right sides and right sides together. So I've pushed them both into the corner, push them both into the corner. And what I'm now going to do, and I will pin this, is I will sew all the way around the top, right the way around. And as you can see, I've not been too accurate here. What I'm going to do is take this over to my board, and with my rotary cutter I'm going to cut a good clean line on this so I can sew all the way around. So there we go. I've neatened it up, I've cut it all the way around, and it's quite difficult to feed this into the sewing machine, so I'm actually going to film sewing this so you can see how I got this through my sewing machine. You just watched me sew around the top of this, and there's the bag, and I'm now going to pull it the right way round through the little hole. And I think I might just make that hole a wee bit bigger with my stitch ripper, and I will sew it back up again afterwards. I think I was a little optimistic that I was going to do that in such a small space. And I'll close that gap by hand afterwards. So make it even a bit bigger. I'll show you how I do this. So here's the little hole on this that I've pulled it the right way through. And what I'm going to do now is, by hand, I'm going to sew this seam up with tiny stitches, but I'm going to hide each stitch. And what you do to hide each stitch is you put this needle inside it, and when you bring it out again, just checking you can see that. So I'm going to hide my stitch. I will put my needle in, and hide my stitches. So you can see the stitch goes in, I put it under there. There you go. So I'm going to continue to do that by hand, and I'll show you when I finished. So there it is, all all sewn up all the way around. Let's just put this so you can see what I do now. Now I'm going to turn it the right way. So I want the spots on the inside. Pushing it into the corner. A bit more shoving. And then let's flip the top over. There it is, my finished little bag. There is my little finished bag. They are so quick to make and they're great little gifts. If you're a sewer, you've probably got friends who are sewers. I've got friends who are sewers. And I was just thinking about things that are lovely to give as gifts. There's something that I got the other day and I suddenly thought, because I'm a sewer, I love things like this. So this is a pin cushion. I'm not showing you today how to make one of these, but as a sewer, having a gift that I can use when sewing is great. And so having this little fabric bucket, although it's great to give as a gift to anybody, to give it to a sewer is really good because they can put all their little things on their table to keep in. And another thing that's great with this to give to a fellow sewer is if you've got your scraps that you don't want to use anymore, you can bundle them all up like a little fat quarter bundle, put a cute little ribbon round it and pop them in something like this, and it'd be a really, really great gift for a sewer. So next I'm going to show you how to make a drawstring bag, and it's the very same principle as my fabric bucket. You need 2 rectangles of fabric, and these I've cut up from some vintage tablecloths. I probably paid about €2 for a vintage tablecloth, and I get loads and loads of fabric out of it. You're also going to need either some pretty string or a ribbon, and I like the blue that contrasts with this, and I'm just checking with this that I have enough. I have plenty of ribbon. So that's all I need, that, my ruler, my sewing machine, and I'll show you what I'm going to do with it. So this is a double layered reversible bag, and I'm going to do exactly as I did before. On the one bag will be the outer, one bag will be the inner. So one, I will sew down both sides and I will top stitch. So it means I will stitch backwards and forwards either ends to secure it. And on the inner bag, I will leave a gap because just like the other one, I will pull it inside out. So this one will be completely reversible. So that's what I'm going to do. So one of the bags, I've sewed down both sides because that's going to be my external, and one bag I've sewed down all the way down one side, but on the other you can see I've left a gap here because I am going to make that my lining. With these bags I've decided that I would cut the corners off this at 2.5 inches, and I'll mark that and cut off each corner, and I'll show you what I did. Just as I did with my fabric tub, I'm going to match this seam with this one here, and I've put a fold in it so I can see it. You can pin this, I don't pin. And I'm going to sew these ends together on all 4 corners to make my box corners. So I have made my corners all boxy. There they are. And I'm going to turn my outside bag the right way and push out the corners. Do that in all four. There we go. Pushing out the corners, pushing them out, and just like before, I'm going to put my outside bag on the inside bag. So this one's the lining because it's got a hole in it, and this one's the outside bag, and I'm going to pop it in, making sure the corners, I have to make sure I can, checking that you can see what I can see here. So you've got right sides together. Keep working it round and spreading it all out. And just with my little fabric tub, make sure it's all, I'm going to sew the tops over. It's exactly the same method as before, and make sure it's all square and in there. There we go, all in together. I'm now going to sew the top over and then show you that afterwards. So I have sewn all around the top. You can see I've pinned the corners together, so I know it all lined up together, and pinned it. So let's make sure I've taken all my pins out and put back in my lovely pin cushion made by my lovely friend Andrea. There we go. And just as before, I'm going to pull the whole thing through the little hole. There it is, all through. And just like with my little fabric tub, I'm going to sew this bit up by hand. I thought I'd just show you how I hide the stitches. So I go into one side, I'll go into zoom. You can see I go into one side, pull my needle through, then I pick up the other side, hiding my stitch in the seam. Stitches in the seam. Let's come out again. It's quite difficult to do and show you at the same time. I just thought people might think, what do you mean by hide your seams? So here's the bag with its boxy corners and its inside, and I've sewn it all up. Definitely can't see where I've sewn it. I've hidden my stitches, and I'm now going to show you how we're going to make the drawstring part of the drawstring bag. So let's show you how much ribbon we need. We need, because it's a drawstring bag, we're going to put ribbon in twice. I'm going to put ribbon in twice, and I'll show you exactly how I do that. We're going to need ribbon. You can see here I've got it folded, and it's the width of the bag and a bit more, and I've got exactly the same size here, the width of the bag and a bit more, and I'm going to put a seam on it where my ribbons will go inside there, but I need it to be the size of 2 ribbons because you need to fit them in there, so that will need to be quite a big bit. So let me show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to sew a seam across there all the way around the bag, and then another seam. So the seam's going to be about 2 inches all the way around the bag, and then I'll show you how I put the ribbons in. can see I have sewn 1/2 inch from the top and then about a gap all the way around, and I've used the marks on my sewing machine to make sure I sewed in a straight line. And I'm going to pull this round to here. What I'm now going to do, so I've got this in close up, is I'm going to unpick this seam on both sides. There we go, this seam on both sides. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to unpick it. So there we are, you can see I've used my seam ripper to rip the seam open on this side and the same on the other side. And I've attached my ribbon to a safety pin, and I'm going to feed that all the way around. And I'm now going to do that and feed the ribbon in the opposite way round, so I'll be able to pull the drawstring tight. So there we go. They're in both ends now. What I'm going to do next is I'll just cut them off evenly, sew them together on either ends, and then show you how you pull them together. So there they are, my little fabric tub, little fabric bucket. I said to you, it'd be a great gift holder, wouldn't it? So simple to make. And the drawstring bag. Now you can make the drawstring bag in any size that you want, out of any fabric that you want. You can use any ribbon that you've got, it really doesn't matter. Now I'm looking at this, I keep thinking to myself, I think that would make a great little toiletry bag. And I've just had a super idea for upcycling. If you've got an old shower curtain, or you can pick up a shower curtain very, very cheaply, you can make the insides to be waterproof. So there you go, little drawstring bag, great for reusable over and over and over again gift bag, and a lovely little tub. And I think that'd be a great thing to give to people for Christmas. You could put sweets in it, or a little bag of chocolates in there or something. Or being a retired teacher, I think that would make a fabulous gift for a teacher as well, because it's just the sort of thing I could put on my desk and put pens in it, or post-it notes, or anything that I needed. And the bag is great too, because it's just something that a small gift can go in. And like I said, you can make your bag any size you want.
Well, thank you for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed that, because I love a bit of make, do and mend. Now, I love to read your comments. Tell me, would you like to see more make, do and mend on the channel? Do you make, do and mend? Are there some Christmas gifts that you make yourself? Because let's face it, budgets are tight these days. So from Mike and myself, we'll see you again soon. Bye for now.